Welcome back to the live show. Thank you for tuning in to the live show. God bless you. It is your Genesis. I am back with another live stream. Right. What is going on, guys? What is going on? Yes. Today, I didn't want to come up here, but I am here. I promise you I didn't want to come up here, but I'm here. So, with that being said, we're going to dive into today's topic, which is daily updates with me. All right, daily updates with your boy Genesis. All right. Welcome back to the live stream. You know what time it is. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. It is your boy Genesis. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream. Yes, y'all. All right. According to Fox here, Canada is freaking out over this Trump plan. What plan is that, you may ask? Let's find out what plan it is. Shout out to Zyro. You know what time it is, Zyro.
Let's bring in Mark Thiessen, Fox News contributor. Mark, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Let's get to work. The tug of war on tariffs is already on, and I want to get your take on it. First, sort of where you think this may be headed.
Well, first of all, you can already feel he's not even in office yet, and you can already feel the tectonic shifts happening on the world stage. And what Trump does, which is why he was so successful in his first term and why he'll be successful in a second term, is he employs a strategy of escalation dominance. So what he does is he signals to our allies or adversaries around the world that he's willing to jump to the top of the escalation ladder and dares them to follow him. But then he also offers them a way down the escalation ladder through negotiation. So he says to Mexico, I'm imposing 25% tariffs on you if you don't shut down the border, but I'm willing to talk to you and figure out a way that we can do this together. And they know that he's willing to do it, which is why she's calling him. This is why Canada is freaking out right now, because they know that he'll actually do this if they don't shut down the border. And I have a prediction for you. They're going to shut down the border. It's going to happen because they don't want 25% tariffs on everything that they send to America.
No, they don't. You're right. And under the first Trump administration, I remember going down to Mexico's southern border, and AMLO had actually put Mexican military there to stop migrants from crossing from Guatemala. Yep. But I took a look this morning at the press out of Mexico City, and it seems that they are really making the case that, hey, the border is already shut down. Things are calm. In fact, President Biden sounding off on lower numbers when he was talking about the tariffs. Listen here.
You know, the cooperation with the outgoing president and the incoming president, the illegal crossings are down considerably to what they were back when he was in office. There's a lot more to do, but I just think, I hope they reconsider.
They're lower now, Mark, but we can show you the totality of the Biden-Harris administration versus the first Trump 4 years. You've got more than 8 million encounters at the southwest border under Biden-Harris, where it's only almost 2.5 total under Trump. How do you think this figures into it?
Yeah, I think Joe Biden's definition of a closed border is not what most of the American people would suggest. And it's not just that we have to close the border and stop the flow in here. They've let in over 10 million illegal migrants into this country. Those illegal housing, feeding, caring for those migrants cost the American people $150 billion last year. In 1 year, $150 billion. So it's not just that we've got to stop the flow of the illegal migrants into our country and shut down the border. They've got to take them back. Donald Trump is going to deport those people, and so he's going to need their cooperation in taking them back. And when those flights start taking off from the United States with these illegal migrants going back to Mexico City, she better take them, or there's going to be an economic price to be paid for by Mexico.
We'll see, because we know on day one, Trump plans to reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, and that takes two to tango. Claudia Sheinbaum will have to be a willing partner in that. Quickly, before we run out of time, the other thing, I was watching in New York City yesterday, you had protesters turning out. The cover of the New York Post today calling it the balloony left.
And this is the thing, right? Everybody keeps talking and saying, well, the Mexican president has a mandate. It's like the United States president has a mandate too. So it's like everybody get to do what is best for their country, which is protect the people and make sure the economy is booming, as well as securing their borders. So the president of the United States, well, the president-elect of the United States, President Trump, is like, yo, this isn't what we're gonna do. You're gonna take back this migrant that are coming in here illegally, and you're gonna be loving them. Okay, you're gonna love them, and you're gonna take them back. You're not gonna say no, or economic disaster may be on the way.
There were lots of arrests in a rainy New York City. What do you make of that?
So here's the problem with our immigration system. It's not just that we're letting millions of people into our country illegally. It's that we're letting millions of people into our country legally who hate America. Most of the people at these protests are not Americans. They're people here who are on visas. Most of the people harassing Jewish students on college campuses are not Americans. They're here on student visas. We need to deport them too. If you hate America, coming to our country is a privilege. Coming here to study is a privilege. Coming here to work is a privilege. If you hate America and you're harassing our citizens and spreading anti-Semitism, you need to be deported. And I think one of the things Trump should do immediately when he comes into office is take the power away from colleges to decide who comes into this country. And if you're leading a student protest that's calling from the river to the sea, that Israel be destroyed, if you're harassing Jewish students, your student visa gets revoked and you get deported too. So it's not just illegal migrants that need to be deported. It's some of the people we've allowed in legally too.
So we saw under the Biden administration this anti-Israel left, I think many would argue, successfully pulled the administration to the left on this. Do you think that same pressure will have an impact under President Trump?
Not a chance. Look, the Biden administration is weak. They were weak from the day one. They're weak on the border. They're weak when it comes to facing pressure from this far left. Donald Trump is going to stand with Israel. Donald Trump is going to bring strength back to our border policy. He's going to bring strength back to our foreign policy. And he's not going to care one whit what these people marching in these cities say about his policies.
Mark T.
This is going to get really, really nasty, guys. This is gonna get nasty. Oof. This is gonna get nasty if you think about it, because now even illegals, no, even legal people who came in here the right way, as long as you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, as long as you're not in love with the United States, as long as you don't love the United States, you may be deported. This is what I always say, like, even if you're an American, like, you have to love the United States. You have to love the United States. Do not be out here, you didn't come from the United States and you weren't born here, and then you don't love the United States. Like, why are you even here if you don't love the United States? It's a privilege to come here, and that's just the facts. If you've been to anywhere in the world, any part of the world, you know America it's a privilege to be in the United States, and that's just the facts. Elon Musk has an issue coming up here.
Time for the hot topic of the hour. Tesla CEO and co-head of the new Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, is calling for the elimination of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Writing on X, quote, delete CFPB. There are too many duplicative regulatory agencies. The CFPB was created as part of the 2010 Dodd-Frank Act after the financial crisis by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren to oversee parts of the financial industry that interact with consumers. Some say the agency is highly politicized, damaging, and unaccountable. During Trump's first term, he took steps to neutralize this agency, easing its enforcement of the banks. Musk also is asking users on X if the IRS should be, quote, deleted after the agency said its enforcement fund is $20 billion short after budget cuts. Biden's Deputy Treasury Secretary urging Congress to, quote, pay up. You can see in that poll, over 60% of X users said they think the agency's budget should be deleted. John Lunsky, your reaction to that. Let's start with the IRS.
Okay, the IRS could be run more efficiently without any question. Maybe their technology is dated. They could update in that sense and help save money and better serve the American people. I don't know about completely eliminating the IRS. What's going to take its place? My goodness. What are you going to have? Private tax collectors like they did back in biblical times?
I think what he's talking about is eliminating Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
We're talking about the CPFB. So, I mean, that's okay. Elizabeth Warren, she came to fame. She became, Miss TV darling, so she thinks, after the financial crisis. Remember this, okay? I remember this. But that's all she's been able to hang her hat on. That was the financial crisis was 2007, 2008. We have moved on. I don't think that she has. And I would argue that there's enough regulation on the books with the banking industry that you actually could eliminate that agency.
Best thing in my 20-year career in government, I've seen this many, many times, and this is a very healthy discussion to have right now. Yeah. And what it does is it says to the existing agency, so how are you going to justify your existence? Sing for your supper. But then it also begs the other question. If you eliminated it, would you need to replace it? And that's really the zero-sum game that you have to take a look at. What are we going to do if we don't have this functionality? But to your point, Cheryl, this is an agency that has all of the regulatory responsibilities handled by other agencies. It's not like if this goes away, suddenly the U.S. consumer is going to walk into a bank and say, pay us 20% interest. No, that's not going to happen.
I think Mike is making a great point. What he's speaking about is redundancy in the federal government. Right. Yeah. When we have redundancy in the private sector and corporations, what happens? Certain departments, jobs get eliminated. And maybe there is room for a lot of cutting as far as agencies are concerned and individuals.
Well, I mean, look, I got to go back to this Elizabeth Warren thing because her entire political mantra has been greedy corporate. She's gone after the banking sector for nearly 20 years now. And I think that Musk makes a great point that maybe time is up for her. Now, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget is trying to help DOJ make cuts. They say the federal deficit could be slashed by $1.4 trillion over the next decade by reversing some of President Biden's executive actions. Now, their report notes, unlike most reduction measures, reversing costly executive actions would not require congressional action, true, and could be done through the rulemaking process. The CRFB says up to $550 billion can be saved by eliminating Biden's plans to forgive student loan debt, including the Save Income-Driven Repayment Program, which could save up to $275 billion alone. $385 billion could be saved by targeting Biden's health care executive actions, $180 billion by reversing changes to the SNAP food stamp program, $150 billion from gutting vehicle carbon emission rules. That's a long list, John Lunsky.
That is a long list, and unfortunately, you're probably going to get some opposition because there are people that are benefiting from these regulations. Okay, they're benefiting from this spending. They don't want to give it up.
As in private businesses and industries,
or are you talking about, I'm thinking of the auto
government
industry.
employees?
The auto industry has perhaps spent something like $120 billion on investments in being able to produce EVs and the batteries that go into electric vehicles. They're not going to want to write off $120 billion all that quickly. So
the EV mandates, though, no one has bought electric cars. Yeah. The consumers rejected it. The EV mandates are just nothing but, I think, just government handouts and you know who's not benefiting from that? Elon Musk, of all people.
Yeah, he's going ahead and he's pushing for the elimination of these subsidies that buyers of electric vehicles get. So you can't say that he's doing this for his own benefit. That's important to note. He's trying to help the United States out, and maybe with his genius, he could go ahead and pull something off where we do get this $1.4 trillion reduction in the deficit over 10 years.
I mean, $2 trillion. I mean, that's when Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk were sort of talking about this. It was $2 trillion. Now, the mainstream media is scoffing at them.
So what shouldn't be lost is their approach. So notice how they're going after executive orders as opposed to we're going to try to get the Congress to reject what they've done beforehand. So because they can go, if you go after Congress and you try to say pass a law that takes out these existing laws, very, very hard to do. Yeah. Whereas if you go into the executive orders, Donald Trump comes in and says, I can do this unilaterally. Obviously, he'll need support from the Congress.
Fiscal responsibility in Washington. But can't say it enough, guys.
Right.
Fiscal responsibility.
And this is the fact. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, especially Vivek. Vivek is a very knowledgeable person when it comes to executive orders. He campaigned for election with President Trump. Remember, he was running against President Trump and he said, you know what? These are the main things that we have to do as Americans. We have to go and check the executive orders and see what we can change and reverse. He's also spoke about um executive orders that can be implemented as soon as he gets elected as president of the United States. If you go check his rallies, his town halls when he was running against President Trump in the Republican primaries, you would realize that he is a very knowledgeable person when it comes to um executive orders. He knows this game. So, and is a very knowledgeable person. He's a very knowledgeable person. Elon Musk, on the other hand, he's smart, intelligent, very sharp, a business mogul, wealthiest man on the planet. Some people say he's the most innovative human being the the United States, South Africa, the world has ever seen. And it is what it is, okay? But this guy called Elon Musk is on another level. This guy called Vivek Ramaswamy is on the next level when it comes to the policies and next level moves. He knows for sure. So they're gonna want to try to stop them. And mind you, these guys are billionaires. Elon Musk being the wealthiest man on the planet. Vivek definitely is a billionaire, and I think it's into pharmaceutical companies and building stuff like that. But he knows his deal. He knows this stuff for real.
Should pay us and we shouldn't have to take him. And I said, you know what? He'll be indicted within a year. And I was exactly right. I noticed the indictment's very old. It goes back a long time. Well, I had the same thing. They went way before the statute of limitations. So I wish him well.
Donald Trump claimed his legal troubles were a result of a political vendetta, and that sentiment echoed by another politician at the center of their own legal battle. CNN's John Miller has more.
The ridiculous and baseless indictment of me by the Biden administration's weaponized Department of Justice will go down as among the most horrific abuses of power in the history of our country.
It's one of President-elect Donald Trump's most common refrains.
They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ.
Repeated claims, without any evidence, that the multiple criminal cases against him, even the ones brought by state prosecutors, were ordered by the Biden White House. The Justice Department has consistently denied the baseless claim.
I have devoted my entire career to ensuring that the rule of law is the rule that the Justice Department applies, that we do not have enemies or friends, that we do not pay attention to the political parties or the wealth.
And think about it. So he's saying every allegations that were brought against him were baseless claims, right? And the media says, well, you're saying that they're baseless claim. Maybe it's a lie. Maybe it's true. But then the Department of Justice says it's based on the information we are getting. And then the media supports the Department of Justice. But the media doesn't support the president-elect. It's like, how does that even work? You need to be in the middle if you are a journalist. You stay in the middle. You don't support the former president. You don't support the DOJ. You do your own due diligence and you check who and what is going, information you're getting should determine the things you say. Information To get the right information, you need to do thorough investigation. And who knows if they're actually doing thorough investigation? I mean, the media.
Or the power or the influence of the people that we are investigating.
And when New York's Democratic mayor, Eric Adams, was indicted earlier this year, he pleaded not guilty and began to invoke a similar argument.
I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target. And a target I became.
Adams has been indicted on 5 federal charges related to bribery, wire fraud, conspiracy, and soliciting campaign contributions from foreign nationals. Prosecutors allege his illegal actions stretch back a decade, but Adams claims that those charges seem to emerge only after he sharply criticized the Biden White House for not doing enough to help New York City with an influx of migrants.
The president and the White House has failed New York City on this issue. Despite our pleas, when the federal government did nothing as its broken immigration policies overloaded our shelter system with no relief, I put the people of New York before party and politics.
If Mayor Adams was taking a page from Donald Trump's playbook, he was also becoming a validator of Trump's claims, and Donald Trump became one of the Democratic mayor's most prominent defenders.
We were persecuted, Eric. I was persecuted, and so are you, Eric. Mayor Adams has been treated pretty badly. You know, when he said that this whole thing with the migrants coming into New York, this is just not sustainable. He said it very nicely. I said, well, he's going to be indicted by these lunatics for saying that. A year later, he got indicted.
Would the founder of the MAGA movement use his power to rescue a high-profile Democrat from criminal charges and scandal? Sources tell CNN the two men have spoken since Trump's election win, but it's unclear whether a pardon has ever been discussed.
Would you accept a pardon if Trump offered it to you?
I don't deal with hypotheticals.
So can I assume that's a yes?
Nope, I wouldn't do any assumption. I will allow my legal team to handle it.
Okay, we're going to bring back our panel. First, I want to start with you, Errol, because I think that there was probably no more consequential sort of political dialogue than the Republican governors sending migrants to Democratic cities, and then a leader like Eric Adams really going at the Democratic White House about that. What do you see in this relationship between Adams and Trump?
Well, a lot of things are going on there, Audie. One thing you should never lose sight of is that for a New York City-based developer like Donald Trump, it never hurts to have an alliance with the mayor of New York. So there's some of that as a possibility there. The idea that Trump is using Eric Adams's legal problems to validate his own false claims about being targeted politically, it worked well for him during the campaign. Whether or not it's going to result in something as sweeping as a pardon or some other kind of relief remains to be seen. The reality is the case has gone pretty far. They just had hearings the other day, and a trial date has already been set for Eric Adams. So it would take a very substantial intervention. I mean, the grand jury issued the indictment. The prosecutors have exchanged a lot of information with the defense team. They've gone before the judge a couple of times, and again, a trial date has been set. It would really be quite extraordinary if at this point the new president would step in and halt that process. But of course, that remains to be seen.
Now, speaking of pardons, Trump hasn't ruled out pardoning Joe Biden's son, Hunter.
Yeah. I hate to think that we're going to see this kind of consideration. I mean, one of the other considerations being thrown around, by the way, is the notion that a friendly relationship between the president-elect and the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, could be steps toward Trump hoping for a pardon from the governor of New York, because the state charges on which he was convicted, he can't pardon himself at all. Those are state charges where he could seek relief from a governor. But all of what we're describing is politics rather than just the facts of each of these cases are supposed to be interpreted and really processed separately based on the facts and the law.
Jeff, I want to bring you in here because I was reading some of your reporting from way back 2017 when Trump was talking about just the power of the pardon. And now here we are, fast forward, and people are wondering whether he would trump, say, the January 6th rioters. How does he see this power, and like what would he have learned from his last time in office?
Sure. Well, now I'm gonna have to go back and read that story, Audie. I think he sees that power as absolutely one thing in his toolbox that he can use to advance his own agenda, to advance his own goals, to advance the things that he finds important. And I think the January 6th example is a good one. That's a group of supporters that he has engaged with rhetorically for the last 4 years, ever since the storming of the Capitol took place. And that's certainly something we'll be watching closely to see if he makes good on some of his promises to all or part of the groups of people and individuals who have been prosecuted since then. I thought the fact that you raised the possibility of a pardon of Hunter Biden is fascinating, and fascinating in part because I've had a conversation with at least one conservative who thought that was something that the president-elect not only would consider, but would likely do. And I thought that was really interesting that there might potentially be support among some conservatives for the incoming president to do something against an individual who many conservatives and MAGA supporters have targeted over the last several years, of course, that being Biden's son.
Yeah, Megan Hayes, that's kind of a sensitive topic. I mean, of all the people we've talked about potentially getting pardons, even Biden has said probably not when it comes to his son. Why do you think that is still, I don't know, an issue in play?
Where President Biden won't pardon him.
Or even that Trump.
My mic was off. Oh my lord, jeez. So what I was talking about, look, today has been everywhere. What I was talking about today was, well, what I was just talking about before I realized my mic was off was when they say MAGA supporters. It's like, are you saying the Make America Great Again supporters? Like, can you just say Make America Great Again supporters? Or when the president does this to Joe Biden, he says the MAGA extremists. It's like, so are you saying the Make America Great Again extremists? Is that what you're saying? So because it's like, what are you doing? Make America Great Again. That's what MAGA means. So when you say the MAGA extremist, you guys are the MAGA extreme. MAGA extremist needs to be stopped. So it's like the Make America Great Again extremist needs to be stopped. I think it should be Make America Great Again. But I don't support any extremism. However, it's Make America Great Again. Okay.
Would say, well, maybe I'll do it.
I mean, I think it's because we're all talking about it. It brings attention. It would be an unusual thing. It'd be an incredible sign of unity, I think, for the president-elect to do that. I mean, he was the one who targeted him greatly during the 2020 campaign and after. I don't know if Donald Trump would actually do that. I think it's a nice gesture. It'd be something that would be welcome, I think, but I don't know that that'll actually happen.
Erin Prini, how does Trump see the power of pardons? Because obviously he was very frustrated in his first term with all the investigations that were happening.
He sees it as another tool that's a possibility for being able to remedy what he sees as a weaponized justice system against people, wrong or right? He feels that there has been a weaponization, and in some cases that has borne out where you've seen that there has been targeting of conservatives. So he definitely sees this as a tool in the toolbox for him. However, I think the one question we're not addressing right now is who's Joe Biden going to be pardoning? Because you're looking at the very tail end of his administration right now. Normally, these are things that do happen at the tail end. Bill Clinton pardoned his brother, I believe, at the end of his
Yes, but
administration.
every president, there's always a handful of pardons.
There's always a
Yeah.
handful. So the
and
question
always
is,
a controversial one.
Right, and Joe Biden has said to this point, probably not on Hunter, but also we're looking at the very end. And if Donald Trump's considering it as well, I would not be shocked to see that pardon come through from either of them as of this point.
Interesting.
Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you for coming out today. Really appreciate it. Mr. Edlow, real quick, it was said in previous testimony that.
Thank you for tuning into the live show. Thank you for tuning into the live show. You know what time it is. Yes, I had to be a dad for like 2 seconds. So it is what it is. All right, with that being said, let's go on ahead and keep on going. And who is Joe Biden going to pardon?
Doge co-chairs Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy heading to Capitol Hill next week to talk to lawmakers. They are eyeing some major government reforms to slash spending. Fox Business's Hillary Vaughn, hello, my friend, is live at the White House with the latest on this. Hillary.
Great to be with you, Molly. Well, this meeting with Musk and Ramaswamy and Republican lawmakers shows that Congress is taking the goals of Doge to cut government waste and trim spending seriously, and that they want to work together to get it done.
I think having people that bring a business mindset, having been a small business owner, bringing that business mindset into Congress, looking at agencies, I think can be a very effective strategy. So having Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, both individuals who have started companies, grown companies, we're looking forward to working with both Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy on making government both efficient and effective.
Most people spent Thanksgiving Day carving a turkey. Vivek Ramaswamy spent Thanksgiving brushing up on ways to carve up the size of the government, posting this picture of some light beach reading, suggestions from the Congressional Budget Office on how to cut spending. The CBO in these reports warning that if we do nothing, quote, federal debt held by the public would rise to 110% of GDP at the end of 2032, reaching 185% of GDP by 2052. Debt that is high and rising as a percentage of GDP could slow economic growth, raise interest payments to foreign holders of U.S. debt, and heighten the risk of a fiscal crisis. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget does have an idea of ways to save over $1 trillion, reversing President Biden's executive actions. The group says reversing some of Biden's actions on spending, things like student debt forgiveness and health care, could save $1.4 trillion. Molly?
Oh, my goodness. Going to be an interesting week ahead on Capitol Hill. Hillary Vaughn, thank you for being there for us. Griff?
Thanks.
Hillary and Molly, thank you very much. For more on this, let's now bring in Trump economic advisor Steve Moore. Hi, Steve. Thank you for being here. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, although I guess you may be even happier now to see that the market is up, hovering around 100 and the Dow hovering at about 150 or so up, 160. And in the Dow and the S&P are heading for maybe its best month on record here. What do you make? I mean, as we wait for this Doge plan to come, and to be clear, obviously, as Hillary laid out, this is going to be much more than just axing shrimp on a treadmill programs. This is going to be quite a drastic attempt to cut government. Do you tie the market's surge right now with things like this Doge meeting?
Well, Griff, you are exactly right that we've seen just a burst of confidence since the election day. And that was reflected, obviously, in the boom in the stock market. But if you look at the consumer confidence numbers, Griff, guess what? Way up. If you look at small business confidence, way up. In fact, even Trump's approval rating now is higher than it's ever been since he started running for president, 10 years ago. So Americans are on board his agenda. If you look at polls and you ask the average American, how much of your federal tax dollars do you think are wasted? Most people say somewhere between 30 and 40 cents of every dollar. So my point is, I think Donald Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are onto something here. I think they have the American people behind them. But, you know, you were mentioning earlier that they're going to take their crusade to Capitol Hill. I think that's where they may meet some resistance, not just from Democrats, but Republicans, because guess what? These politicians love to pass out money. They love to play Santa Claus. So I think that will be the central challenge.
After the American people clearly spoke in the last election,
Right.
the working class speaking out. You know, Steve, today is Black Friday. Tomorrow is often known as Small Business Saturday. And at the top of this DOGE plan is regulatory rescissions that are coming, which is nothing but good news, I suspect, for small business owners.
Well, that's right. And those executive decisions, we think that there will probably be 100 to 200 of these that Donald Trump is literally going to sign into law basically in his first few hours in the White House. So you're quite correct. And you're also correct that those could save hundreds of billions of dollars. But what my point was that you're going to have to, a lot of these reforms that are absolutely necessary, there's no question about it. We can cut hundreds of billions of dollars of waste.
One of the good things that I like about this Department of Government Efficiency plan is they're trying to cut the federal government. They're trying to cut down all unnecessary spending. But the most important thing we need to check here is their top goal is to eliminate the need for its existence by July 4th, 2026. That is the main goal. And think about that. If that's your main goal, to end what you started, because you in your mind is like, we wouldn't need it in like 2 years from now. That is major. If we all have dreams and we're like, we put a date on the dream, that is going to make us work even harder and like tirelessly to get to the dream. Shout out to BTK. You know what time it is, BTK. Shout out to BTK, man. He just popped up with $5 donation, or $5 super gift, because we just got monetized. So I'm still not used to this supers. So thank you so much, BTK. Shout out to BTK, man. God bless you, BTK. All right, everybody, double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. One more time, BTK. God bless you, Brody.
And duplication, fraudulent payments, all of these things. But my point is that they're going to need congressional approval for a lot of this. And I think the real challenge is, can they not only get, Republicans, but Democrats on board passing these? But you're right. I think they have the American public and the voters behind them 100% on this. By the way, how can Democrats say they're in favor of waste in government?
Yeah, it makes no sense. Real quickly, before I run out of time, I've only got about 30 seconds, Steve, but I've got to get Steve Moore's take on Trump's threat of 25% tariffs on Mexico. And the Wall Street Journal points out that would, quote, shatter, in their words, the USMCA, the Mexico-Canada trade agreement that Trump negotiated himself.
Yeah, look, it's very simple. We cannot allow these poisonous drugs into this country any longer. The leading cause of death of young people in America today is drug overdoses from things like fentanyl. So even though I'm not a big tariff guy, you know me, Griff, I think this is an appropriate tool to save lives in America. And Mexico and China have to help in this crusade to end this epidemic of lethal drugs into this country.
We shall see if it works. We knew it was coming, and here it comes indeed. Steve Moore, thank you for taking time. Have a great weekend.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Thank you for tuning in to the live show. You know what time it is. Look, everybody's calling me. I'm so sorry. I gotta do this real fast.
Anti-Israel protesters storming the streets of the city in an attempt to block the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade yesterday, leading to mass arrests.
Free Palestine, America. I know what you're ass. You think I don't know where you're going? Thousands of innocent children.
David Webb is a Fox News contributor and host of Reality Check with David Webb on Fox Nation. He joins us now. David, the tolerant left trying to ruin a parade, which is really for children.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see the cops making arrests. Now let's see if they actually keep them in jail. Why are their faces always covered? Doesn't that make it harder to yell free, free Palestine? Look, I'm using a bit of sarcasm here, but here's the sad truth. The left is either disconnected or committed or both. They're not going to stop. They've been rejected, their policies, their attacks on America, on our allies, on people. They have been rejected by the American people in this last election, and now they're doubling and tripling down. The sad part is they are not interested in we've lost, now how do we come around? They're interested in how we drag America further into this. You've got to deconstruct it from the inside.
But are they not reading the tea leaves? The country's not there. Maybe when the left was in power, you had a little bit more leeway, but Donald Trump is coming into office. Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They also have a majority on the Supreme Court. Your feelings toward the world are definitely not in vogue right now.
Yeah, well, what's also back is Constitution, law and order. Now, cities will have to make their decisions, but they will have to comply because they get money from the federal government. At some point, that leverage, right? You were just talking with Brian about tariffs as a leverage, as a negotiating tool. It's going to be very similar with these cities. You have got to protect your citizens. You've got to protect a parade. You have a right to protest. I'm somebody who organized Tea Party protests for tens of thousands of people in New York. I did it right. I did it the correct way, and the protest carried on. That's not what they're doing. They want to disrupt.
I have an answer to your question about the masks. I'm told that the center of parades is where COVID really takes hold, especially with Minnie Mouse. She was patient zero. President Biden sharing a grim Thanksgiving message to journalists. Listen to this.
You all have a very tough job, and I'm not being solicitous. A really tough job. You turn on the television, you don't see a lot of good news. Even the stuff that is good news doesn't seem to sell very well. And now you have, I forget what the number is, but an exceedingly small number of people watching mainstream television and reading the newspapers.
So much to unpack there. First, no good news. I mean, I guess it depends on your perspective on life, but is that your read, David Webb, on the last 3 weeks since November 5th? No good news?
First of all, you won't have to turn the teleprompter around anymore to understand the President of the United States. You're going to be able to hear him say exactly what he says, that being Donald Trump. Look, Joe Biden is bitter. And he always has been. He wanted this title. He wanted this job. He's failed. And that rejection I'm talking about, they lost not only the Electoral College massively, they lost the popular vote. And what's not being talked about a lot, but when you start looking at the state legislatures and local races, a lot more wins by people who I'll put them in the non-leftist category. Democrats who've said, I've had enough. People who've said this is not the way we want America to go. So they've been rejected. And as far as the journalists, let me tell you something. Journalists have had access to Donald Trump, well, since Donald Trump's been a public figure. He doesn't run from you. He'll show up in the briefing room more likely, more times than probably his own staff. Like, come on, this is a guy who's going to talk to you. And as far as the mainstream media, Joe Biden can attack all he wants, but maybe you ought to put a mirror up to Joy Reid and all of the others at MSNBC, because they're not being spun off because they're so successful. They're being spun off because they failed to carry water and win, and their viewership.
Now, sorry guys, I had to talk on the phone. Okay, so with that being said, guys, so if you think about Trump and you think about Biden, who do you think is more into talking to the press? Would you say Biden or Trump? Trump is a man that loves to talk to the media. He talks every time to the media. I mean, think about Kamala Harris too. She never talks to the media. She didn't take interviews for like 40, 45 days. So nobody should come here saying Trump. This man talks to the media every single time. Now, when it comes to the deportation of illegal immigrants, that is something the media is going to play every day for us for the next 3 to 4 years. So we better get ready.
Same thing as the other networks has gone down significantly. Where's Fox News?
At the top.
Decades later, consistently.
Mostly thanks to you, David Webb. And so we have one more that we want to get on with you. A shocking new report showing that the Biden administration's education enforcement targeted Christian and career colleges more than private and public schools. Look, we all know this ends Inauguration Day when Trump takes over the Department of Education. But what's your reaction to this?
Not unusual. Remember the FBI in the Richmond office targeting Catholics, going after people. Remember Barack Obama? Those Bible clingers, you cling to your beliefs and your guns. This is the left. They're trying to turn this where the government is your new religion. The ideology's there. The fact is they got to watch the language that they've changed in DOE, and they've got a lot of work to do to clean that up.
David Webb, thank you so much for coming on. Black Friday, obviously you had a day yesterday watching the Giants lose, and that made you sad. We appreciate you coming in.
It's getting spicy, guys. It is getting spicy. It is getting spicy. And now, have you heard the border wall construction has just been updated and they may be building more border walls? It's like we were on break for 4 years and now we're back from break. It's like the adults are back in charge. What is going on, guys?
There's a little bit of a dance right now happening as these tariffs have been threatened by the president-elect. Your reaction?
Well, she's relatively new. Chairman Michael McCaul and I went down with him to Mexico on Codell back in February. And we actually met with her and her opponent. You know, they had two women running for president, going to make history in Mexico's first woman president. And so she's kind of changed her tune since then. She seemed very willing to help back then. Of course, now she's in office. She's probably getting pressure from her left, probably getting pressure from her people. And she's trying to, I guess, start to waffle a little bit. I'm a little bit concerned about that.
You are. Okay. Yeah. Because, I mean, certainly when she says that, you know, we're going to respect human rights, I mean, the whole reason that we have had a change in leadership in this country, the two biggest things, the economy and immigration, both of those stories are tied to this tariff threat. Both of these stories are completely tied to Mexico. As far as the border, there's another story that is emerging this week. Some oil executives and lobbyists are now urging President-elect Trump to strike a deal with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. More oil, we buy from them, fewer migrants, and maybe we get to send back some of these criminal gangs back to Venezuela. The Journal reporting that, quote, Maduro himself has floated a reset with Washington in his first government. Things didn't go well for us with President-elect Donald Trump. He said in a recent televised address, this is a new start. Let's bet on a win-win. So obviously, President Trump has big plans for American energy. He wants to make us energy dominant again by reportedly planning to revive Keystone XL, expand domestic drilling, resume liquid LNG exports, in particular to Europe, roll back a lot of these green policies. All of that is the energy story. All of that goes back to Texas. Your reaction?
Well, Cheryl, Keystone Pipeline would have come into my district. I'm the upper Gulf Coast of Texas. We have 7 ports, more than any other member of Congress. We produce 65% of the nation's jet fuel, 80% of the nation's military-grade fuel. I can go right down the line. I want to go back to something that the president of Mexico said about human rights. Yeah, we believe in human rights, too, but our number one priority is to protect Americans. And, of course, for me, our number one priority is to protect Texans. Texans, we can produce energy cheap. Cheryl, here's a comparison. Keystone Pipeline moves 830,000 barrels of oil a day. If you tried to do that with 18-wheelers, you'd have to put 5,200 18-wheeler trucks on the highway a day to move that much oil. Texas has the ability, United States has the ability to sell energy, to export energy, to produce energy, if we can get the government out of the way. And that's what Trump is aiming at.
Yeah. Also, too, just really quick, my one fear about, you know, I called it a deal with the devil at the top of the show with Maduro. This man is ruthless. He is a murderer, and he has retained power, his grip on power, which many in Washington say was not a true election. It was an illegal election. So right. What do you make of us? I mean, what do you think this relationship with Maduro should or could be, considering that the Venezuelan migrants that we now have in this country are causing havoc in this country?
Well, absolutely. You know, we don't want to make a deal with the devil. And look, Those Venezuelan migrants, those gangs that you're hearing about and talking about, they are some of the most ruthless. You can't trust Maduro. When somebody shows you who they are up front, believe them. He's a dictator. He's a ruthless dictator. He can't be trusted. I recognize our oil companies and our executives, they want the ability to be able to produce more oil, sell more oil. I get that. But there's an old saying, you don't want to dance with the devil. And I'm afraid that that's exactly what we'd be doing.
All right. Congressman Randy Weber, thank you for joining us today. It's always great to speak with you about what is happening at our southern.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. To get the United States economy back, to get the gas prices lower again, to get the grocery prices low again, to get the border secured, to get foreign policies straight again, you have to do some deals. You have to do some deals. It is what it is. However, you must be careful of the deals you make in this world, because you don't want to make a deal with the devil. You do not want to make a deal with the devil. All right. With that being said, what is going on in the border? What is going on at the border, rather? What is going on at the border? Like, what is going on around the border? A 10-year-old was just recently spoken with the border by himself.
¿Qué pasó, mijo? ¿Qué traes? ¿Te dejaron solos? ¿Qué?
No me quieren guiar.
¿Viniste solo? ¿Qué tantos años tienes, mijo?
10.
10 años. ¿Y vienes solo? ¿Sí? ¿Y tu papá y tu mamá?
No, mi mamá no va hasta Estados Unidos.
¿Está en los Estados Unidos?
Absolutely heartbreaking video from Texas DPS officials showing a sobbing 10-year-old from El Salvador telling troopers he was abandoned by smugglers near the southern border. The gut-wrenching scene, just another of the many snapshots of plight of migrant children under the Biden-Harris administration. And here to react is the former National Border Patrol Council.
I mean, that's just so sad. That is just so sad to think about what that kid is going through by himself, a 10-year-old child. I got a 5-year-old daughter, and to think about the fact that, she could be alone somewhere around the world, and it's like, that's sad. That's a sad dilemma right there. That is just so sad. Shout out to Warlock Magic. It says that's so sad. It is sad.
President Brandon Judd. Listen, Brandon, thank you for your time this morning. And I think I speak for millions of people who watch that video, and they have what I like to describe as righteous indignation when you think about watching that scene unfold there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and they should have righteous indignation. This is absolutely monstrous. I have personally recovered hundreds of children that have been left behind by smugglers. I have personally recovered an infant that was left on a trail as a distraction so that smugglers could get other people across, that if we wouldn't have found that infant would have died. I have personally found countless bodies, dead bodies that were left by smugglers to die in the desert. This is something that Border Patrol agents see all the time, and it's absolutely disgusting knowing that if we had proper policy, this goes away. We don't have to worry about children dying in the desert. We don't have to worry about smugglers leaving children if we had the proper policy that would allow us to go after the smugglers, and if we stop this catch and release. If that goes away, this all goes away.
You nailed it on the catch and release, because this is one of those circumstances where if ultimately we continue to sort of wink and nod and not really get engaged in a policy that puts some teeth behind enforcement, this will just continue and continue. Let me share some numbers. This is the number of unaccompanied minor migrant children. Look at this number. 291,000 plus have not received a notice to appear in court, and that was as of May 2024, as we are now streaming headlong into 2025. That is a ghastly number, Brandon, because it means that there are hundreds of thousands and perhaps even more children out there that we have no idea where they are and to whom they've been placed.
Yeah, and that's the magnet that draws so many people to cross our borders illegally. That's how the cartels are able to go throughout the world and advertise their services. When they tell people that all you have to do is give me thousands of dollars, I'll get you to the United States, and then once you cross the border illegally, you'll be released into the United States. And that's why so many people do it. That's why so many people put themselves in the hands of the smugglers. And when you look at policy and when you look at how this all goes away, when you stop releasing people into the United States, when you stop rewarding them for violating our laws, the numbers drop exponentially. When President Trump implemented Remain in Mexico, we saw our numbers drop to 45-year lows, numbers that I had never seen before in my entire career. And so we have to look at that. Now, Kevin, I'm confident that President Trump is going to do an absolutely great job on the border. We've seen it before, but what I'm worried about is I'm worried about into the future. What happens when he's out of office? If we don't get Congress to pass laws to close all of the loopholes that allows a president to release people into the United States, then this is going to happen again. And we can't we can't do that. We can't enrich smugglers based upon policies and loopholes in our laws.
No, I think that's spot on. And obviously there's going to be some change brewing, as they say, come January with the new president once again trying to make things right for the millions and millions who've been hurt by this ghastly policy along the border. Brandon Judd, thank you so much. I appreciate your time this morning.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
So, as a person that came into the United States legally, I was born in Nigeria. I moved here like 8 years ago. I'm a United States citizen now. It took me 5 years to become a United States citizen. I have my family here. I have ties here. I have love for the United States. This is why I do what I do. I love the United States so much. And it's like when I hear about stuff like this, where people come into the United States illegally and then they commit crimes, it's like, why did you have to come into the United States in the first place? You could have just stayed where you were and do whatever you wanted to do in your home country. Why would you come into a country that took you in, that loves you, and that prepares opportunity for you to come in here, and then you do something stupid to its citizen? That is just so bad. That is just unacceptable. You should not be in the United States if you don't love the United States. It's not by force to come to the United States. There's so many other countries you can go, but you decide to come to the United States. And then this is a land of opportunity. This is a land filled with milk and honey. As long as you know and believe in your heart that you can make things happen, and you are dedicated and you fight for your dreams and you stay loyal and humble and you put your head down, there is no way you wouldn't make something happen for you and your family in the United States. But then you want to come in here and do something stupid. That is just not acceptable. I am an immigrant as well, so I have the right to talk about this immigration issue because I wasn't born in the United States. Okay, I wasn't born in the United States. So I feel like I am one of the qualified people to talk about these issues. It's because if Americans talk about it, they'll be like, "Well, you guys are just so spoiled." But if an immigrant like me talk about it, it's like, "Well, bro," and they're still gonna talk about me because they're gonna say, "Well, your ancestors are not gonna be proud of you." That's what they say. Because I'm brown skinned, they say, "Why did I vote for Trump?" Because I'm brown skinned, they say, "Why are you supporting this person?" It's like, it is just what it is. It is just what it is. However, if you're coming into this country, you should love the United States. And I've actually met Americans, like real life Americans, who don't even love the United States. And it's like, bro, you don't even know what you have. You were born here, privileged to be born here, and you don't love the United States. And they're like, "You know what? My goal is to move out of the United States." I'm like, bro, people around the world, I'm talking about Canada, London, every part of the world, they want to come to the United States. They want to be a part of the United States. And these are top countries. So, like, why would you even be like that?
New York City police and Homeland Security reportedly making a major bust of migrant criminals tied to the notorious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. The two alleged gang members are also linked to that Aurora, Colorado apartment takeover. The pair were arrested Wednesday. Both have arrest warrants from the Aurora Police Department. They were arrested alongside 13 other suspected TDA members during a gang task force raid in the Bronx. I want to bring in New York Congressman Nick Lingworthy. He's a member of the House Oversight Agriculture and Rules Committees, Congressman. I want to get your reaction to the fact that these two gang members are now in New York, in the Bronx. Obviously, they traveled, if these charges are correct.
Well, this is shocking news, Cheryl. It is just a continuation of what we've seen time and again with the migrant crisis finding its way right on New York City's doorstep, and it's our sanctuary city policies of Kathy Hochul to blame. We have, now we have a new series of questions: is how did they end up in New York? Was this part of the failed Biden-Harris agenda, which gave massive benefits for relocation to illegals and allowing them to get flights or train or bus tickets to their favorite destination? But this is what was rejected on November 5th by the American people. And we have, there's help on the way on January 20th when we get really serious about the border crisis. But, every New Yorker is unsafe under these sanctuary policies that really encourage migrants, especially migrants that seek to, create crime and harm as they arrive in New York.
Well, okay, so no, the residents of New York, the taxpayers of New York are not safe, but I thought to myself immediately when they talked about, when Kathy Hochul came out and made those statements about, sanctuary cities, if I'm a member of TVA, I'm going to go to New York, I'm going to go to Los Angeles, because Chicago, because that's where you're getting this political rhetoric that we're going to protect our new friends. So that's exactly what these two did. That is my opinion. And I think that you're going to see more of this. They're going to flood the sanctuary cities and get out of where they think they're most vulnerable, like Aurora, Colorado. Michael Balboni's on set with me. He's got a question for you. And I know you two know each other. So,
hey, good morning, Congressman.
Absolutely.
So the question I have for you is, we're talking about a story this morning where there's a bunch of very wealthy oil executives saying to President Trump, you should strike a deal with President Maduro and Venezuela to take their oil, or buy their oil for less migrants. Seems to strike me as an odd situation in that the president has facilitated the gangs coming into the United States from Venezuela, and which is a superhighway for drugs into this country. And President Trump has already pointed out right now, put a stake in the ground and said, we will stop the fentanyl crisis that's happening in this country. Your reaction?
Well, what we know about President Trump is he's a master negotiator, and he's going to use all the leverage. He's already using leverage to talk about tariffs, to talk about political and geopolitical implications on countries. You've seen his edicts to Canada and to Mexico to get real about this border crisis, to shut these borders down, to stop the flow of fentanyl, and to stop the flow of illegals coming into this country. They're going to pay a price if they don't play along in help America seal these borders. I don't know the specifics on dealing with Venezuela. I think we would have to dig a lot deeper into that. But the reality is, we have to stop this. And President Trump's going to use every tool in his arsenal to shut these borders down. This is obviously his primary focus. Day one is creating a more safe America, to stop the flow of these criminals coming into this country, to again respect the sovereignty of the United States of America, that we do have borders and they do matter, and that Mexico and Canada have to acknowledge that and participate in that. But I'd be a little remiss to get into bed with Venezuela.
Who wouldn't want a safer border, a better economy, better foreign policies, affordable mortgage rates, low interest rates, best healthcare system, affordable everything? Who wouldn't want that? Please let me know in the chat if you don't want that. Who wouldn't want that kind of life? Who wouldn't want that? It's just on another level that people would want to fight progress. And I've always wondered in my mind, why do people always try to fight progress? You want to fight progress. This person wants to keep the border secured, and yet you're saying, well, we're not going to let you do it. I thought it's supposed to be America first. This is just sad.
Government over this and create some deal, but at the same time, we have to shut this down.
And I want to clarify for you. I do want to clarify just to make sure there's no confusion here. This is a report in the Wall Street Journal that oil executives and also some lobbyists are going to the president-elect to say, here's what we want you to do. So we don't have a response from Donald Trump on this. Just I want to be real clear here. That's what they want, but we don't know what he wants.
Right. To be clear, President Trump he's playing chess right now, and he's making it clear to the world stage that America means business again. I mean, a lot of world leaders are used to dealing with a very weak and feckless president for the last 4 years. Yeah. They've run roughshod on the United States of America. That comes to an end on January 20th at noon, and President Trump will be back in the saddle. He means business. He wants to wind down the wars across the world. He wants to make sure that America is safe again, and that we stop the invasion of our country. And he's going to get it done. And we're going to work in the Congress to give him all the tools he needs to get that done.
Meanwhile, we have until January 20th, and it's not even.
Look, like I said previously, adults are back in charge. There is no, pity party. This is real life, okay? The people of the United States has to be protected. The economy has to be booming again, and people have to have some money saved up, because there was money saved up in between 2016 to 2021. There was money saved up because things were affordable, gas was cheap, everybody was doing better. Unlike now, for the past 4 years, people are working 2, 3, 4 jobs just to send their kids to daycare, just to make sure they can pay bills, just to make sure their electricity bill. And to talk about all of this, top it all off, electricity bill went to the roof. Electricity bills went to the roof. I was paying like $75 like in 2019, and now I'm paying like $220. It's like, what? How did that even happen? But it happened. And President Trump has promised that in 1 year is going to slash that price by 50%. So drill, baby, drill. Secure everything that needs to be secured. Bring back jobs and bring back the economy. You don't like it? Okay, bye. You don't have to like it. Okay? Not everybody has wealth or was born rich or has rich parents or rich uncles and aunties. Some people actually work for a living, like 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week. Okay? That's how you go. Some people work hard every day, 2, 3, 4 jobs just to pay bills. So forget about your emotions. Forget about all of those things that you're worried about. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like the way he tweets. I don't like him using social media. I mean, a president don't use social media. He is not presidential. Who cares, bro? He gets the job done. That's what we care about, okay? And this is why I feel like Democrats will lose the presidential election in 2028, because most Democrats always think in their mind that the people who vote for Trump are uneducated people. No, they're just people who work their butt off every single day. They are the normal, regular, everyday Americans, the plumbers, the farmers, the truck drivers, the carpenters, the construction workers, the welders. These are the people that love Trump. And guess what? The wealthiest man in the world, the wealthiest guy, Elon Musk, supports Trump. So when you say uneducated people are the only ones who support Trump, then it's like, what are you talking about? This guy wants to make America great again. You don't have to like it. And some people say, when has America been great? Well, 2016 to 2021. There you have it. 2016 to 2021, baby. So whatever you say, okay? You don't have to like me. Well, you're brown skin. Why are you supporting Trump? It is what it is, bro.
And we have to start with this frightening news. Several Democrat Connecticut lawmakers say they were targeted with bomb threats yesterday. This, of course, coming just a day after several of President-elect Trump's picks were also targeted with bomb and swatting threats. Trump's nominee for U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, joins me now. Governor, thank you for being here. Happy Thanksgiving. Have you received any threats?
Just from my wife, but that's an everyday thing. So other than that, I have not. And, you know, this is such a terrible thing that's happening, all these threats going. Now it's a bipartisan deal, Democrats, Republicans getting it. And it's just, it's an unfortunate part of living in our current world where people have lost their minds.
Next one, Governor. Israel says Hezbollah already has violated the ceasefire. The IDF launching an airstrike in Lebanon's third largest city. Governor, once you and I have talked about this before, but this so-called peace deal that Biden has worked out uses the Lebanese army, which is like this with Hezbollah, to be the dividing line, the so-called neutral dividing line between Hezbollah and Israel. What do you make of this whole ceasefire deal?
Well, you know, David, the other day when we had this conversation, I said it's like asking a 400-pound man to guard the dessert buffet. It probably does not end well. And I really predicted that Hezbollah would not honor the agreement. They never do. None of these Iranian-backed proxies are interested in real peace. That's not what they're about. They're about destroying Israel and killing every last Jew on earth and then coming after us in America. So we have to just understand who we're dealing with. As the old saying goes, we're not dealing with honest brokers. We're dealing with people who want to murder those who don't bow to their radical ideology. So any idea that we're going to have peace, it only will come when they're eradicated, when they're put down. That's why I think that the Prime Minister of Israel accepted the agreement, but it had a very clear clause in there that if it were violated, all bets are off, and
right.
Israel goes right back to trying to keep them under control, and that's what they're going to have to do.
Well, they're also, the Mideast in general is going to have to get used to a new sheriff in town with Donald Trump, and of course you'd be his representative right smack in the middle in Israel there. The Abraham Accords, a proud achievement of the first Trump term, may be expanded in the second Trump term. But of course, a lot of Democrats said it could never be done to have an Arab-Israeli deal without Hamas or the PA in the middle there. It was done in the first term. Could it be expanded to Saudi Arabia in a second term?
Well, Donald Trump did a remarkable and historic thing in bringing about the Abraham Accords. There were many people a part of it, former Ambassador David Friedman among them, some great people that helped put that together. But it was Donald Trump's, let's use the word chutzpah, who just decided that he's not going to do things the old-fashioned way. And it's what I love about the guy. He's a pragmatist. He goes after what will work rather than what people have been failing at for decades. So I do think that it will be expanded. Everybody's better off when there's an agreement and a compact among these nations. They do better in trade, tourism, travel. Everyone is more peaceful. But you're never going to get some of these people to the table because that's not what they're interested in. Yeah. When they do get money, they don't spend it to build an economy. They could have had an incredible resort area in Gaza. But Hamas came in and took every last penny and built underground tunnels and rocket launchers so they could kill people. So we're not dealing with people who are rational or sane. And that's why you got to get the rational people in the Middle East. And there are nations that they don't want constant state of war. They'd like prosperity for all their people. Governor, I hope that's what we see.
I have to ask a quick one, a quick final one. We have the Holy Lands divided this year. We have Bethlehem divided by Israel with a big wall. Is there any possibility that after a year or 2 years now of fighting in the Middle East, the Palestinians might get so disaffected by Hamas and Hezbollah and the other people who have been controlling their lives that they work closer with Israel? And could you be a part of making that happen?
Well, I've got to get confirmed, and that's a process. So I don't want to speak for the administration coming in or anyone else. But let me just say, I think anything is possible because Donald Trump is the ultimate deal maker, and that's one of the reasons that I'm so very proud to be able to serve him in this capacity because I see breakthroughs happening. They won't be easy. But it could be a true game changer in the Middle East when he comes back to the table.
Well, peace in the Middle East is a wonderful goal for 2025. Let's pray that it happens. Governor, thank you so much. Wonderful to see you again, Mike. Have a wonderful.
This is why I voted for Trump. He is the ultimate deal maker. He makes deal. He wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. back in the 90s, I guess, or 80s, late 80s or early 90s, one of them times, I don't know. But I read the book, and since then I've really learned a lot from this guy, and he's smart, very smart, and he's failed so many times. And this is what people always say, well, he failed his casino business, he failed his university business, he's been in debt, he's filed for bankruptcy. Why do you follow this guy? Only people who have failed can actually teach you stuff. You want to learn from people who have never failed? So, how do you know how they actually embrace failure? Because you have to fail to be able to win. If you've only won all your life, then you are a trust fund baby. If you haven't failed, then you haven't actually fought for something tangible. You haven't really gone after something that is way bigger than something that you started with. You have to go for something huge, then you fail. Because you will fail if you go do something really huge. Because you've never done anything big, that's why you've never failed. But if you take on big adversary, you take on big dreams, big goals, you will fail. And that's why I support him. This is why a lot of people resonate with Trump, especially, people, normal everyday people, because they are failing every single day, and Trump is letting them know, you know what? It is okay to fail as long as you never quit, as long as you never give up. This man is an inspiration to a lot of people, and this guy is going to do great things for the next 4 years. You don't have to like it, but that's just a reality, and you're going to benefit from it. And that's something that you have to understand. You're going to benefit from it. So enjoy it. Enjoy it, buddy.
Two very different Thanksgiving messages this morning from the President of the United States and the President-elect as they prepare for the transfer of power. President-elect Trump posted this message on Truth Social early this morning, saying, "Happy Thanksgiving to all, including the radical left lunatics who have worked so hard to destroy our country, but who have miserably failed and will always fail. Don't worry, our country will soon be respected, productive, fair, and strong, and you will be more than ever before proud to be an American." And moments ago, we heard from President Biden. He was visiting a firehouse on Nantucket where he's spending the holiday. This is what he said.
I'm thankful for a peaceful transition in the presidency, and I'm thankful for the fact that I think with the grace of God, with good little neighbors, with a little luck, we're going to get some more progress in the Middle East. And I'm really thankful for being able to get the first peace done on Lebanon. There's a lot to be thankful for.
And we have reporters with both the current and future president. Steve Contorno is in West Palm Beach. Arlette Saenz is on Nantucket. So Arlette, we're going to start with you. President Biden made a little news this morning. What did he say?
Yeah, before President Biden gets to his Thanksgiving dinner, he did speak with reporters and specifically addressed these new proposals from President-elect Trump to raise significant tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada. The President Biden said that he thinks that Trump should reconsider that, warning that it could jeopardize relations with two of the United States' closest allies. These comments are significant for President Biden, who has really refrained from weighing in or criticizing any of Trump's policies since the election earlier this month. President Biden has long warned that he believes tariffs could have an inflationary impact on the U.S., but now he is warning that it could threaten relations with Mexico and Canada. Take a listen.
I hope he rethinks it. I think it's a counterproductive thing to do. You know, look, one of the things you've heard me say before that we have an unusual situation in America. We're surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and two allies, Mexico and Canada. And the last thing we need to do is begin to screw up those relationships.
Now, this really serves as a reminder that these two men have wildly different views on policy, like tariffs and the economy, and how to deal with relations with allies to the north and south of the United States, but also on the world stage. Of course, Trump has said that he wants to raise tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada by 25% until the countries do more to curb the flow of drugs and migrants into the U.S. But President Biden made these comments as he was visiting that firehouse here.
Look, you can actually deal with allies and deal with supporters and people who actually want the best for your country by telling them the issues and seeing how you can come to a conclusion and meet in the middle. It's not about we want to screw up the relationship you have with our allies. No, they keep saying these things. They keep saying Trump wants to spoil something that they've had for years because he's an outsider. No, he's only trying to tell these people you have people coming into our country that are doing bad things in here. How can we stop it? From your side and our side, let's come to a conclusion. I mean, what is so bad about that? What is bad about that? It's the same thing with NATO. That's what he's doing with NATO. That's what he did with NATO. And it was like, everybody got to pay up. You have to pay up. And people are like, well, he wants to get out of NATO. What is bad about saying pay up? I mean, Jesus.
In Nantucket, he's expected in a short while to make some calls to troops who are serving overseas away from their families on this Thanksgiving holiday. For President Biden, it's a family tradition to spend the Thanksgiving holiday here on Nantucket, and this will be the final time he is here as president, as his time in office is starting to wind down.
All right, Arlette Saenz with the president on Nantucket. Thank you for that. And Steve, those Biden comments come after Trump talked about tariffs last night with the president of Mexico.
That's right, Manu. Donald Trump already engaging in trade policy, in fact, seeming to start a trade war, negotiate it, at least according to him, resolve one in the span of a few days. Trump, in that call with Mexico, claiming that she agreed to close the southern border. Take a look at what he wrote on Truth Social, saying, quote, "She has agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border." And Trump had said that the 25% tariff that he had threatened would be in place until they stopped the flow of migrants and drugs across that border. It's not clear, though, if this agreement that they reached by phone or whatever discussion they had resolved this dispute and whether they are going to lift the threat of a tariff. I asked the Trump transition team exactly that and did not get a response. There does, though, appear to be some disconnect between Trump's victory lap on Truth Social and how the Mexican president described the conversation. She wrote on X, quote, reiterates that Mexico's position is not to close the borders, but to build bridges between governments and between peoples. And earlier in the week, she had put out a letter and a statement in which she had said that they had already taken significant measures to address the flow of migrants through their country, and they took credit for the fact that border crossings in the past year are down 75%. And so it's not exactly clear how these two narratives are going to work themselves out and whether or not this 25% tariff that Trump has been threatening will be there on day one, as he said he is ready to do. Manu?
Yeah, both leaders agreeing that it was a positive call, not agreeing on what was said. Steve Contorno from West Palm Beach, Florida, with the president-elect. Thank you so much. And joining me now here at the table, a great panel of reporters this afternoon, CNN's Eva McKend, CNN's Daniel Strauss, and Burgess Everett of Semaphore. Happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you at home. Thank you for tuning in. Interesting swipe from President Biden at Donald Trump. He has not said a whole lot about Trump in the aftermath of the election here, but just to remind our viewers, he criticized the tariffs, Trump on threatening tariffs against China, against Mexico, against Canada, and said the last thing we need to do is screw up both relationships.
Yeah, this is, I think, surprising from President Biden because it is a departure from the tone that we have seen him employ over the last several days. What we have seen from him is just trying to calm everyone's nerves at this point and, telegraph that he is fully going to participate in a peaceful transition of power, something, of course, that he was not afforded 4 years ago. But listen, on this issue, I think Democrats are hoping that if the former president pushes too far, once he...
Shout out to everybody watching the live show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Double tap your screen. Let's get the likes up, guys. Let's get the likes up. Double tap your screen. Subscribe to the channel. Shout out to X50 Kyle Jenks. Shout out to you, X50 Kyle Jenks. God bless you. And go check out his YouTube page too. That man doing a lot on his YouTube page. X50 Carl Janks. Go check out his YouTube page. Shout out to you, brother. All right, everybody, double tap the screen, subscribe to the channel. All right, Bobby Shorts, you are a child, and we don't want children on the live show. You should be in school, studying and learning so you can have a bright future. So what we're going to do right now is put you on block because you're trying to get attention, and we're not giving attention to children because children needs to read and, gain knowledge and so they can know how to be useful in the community. All right. So bye, Brody. I guess you're typing right now and you're going to find that you've been blocked. That's so cool that you can block people. All right. So with that being said, thank you, everybody. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. You know what time it is. Let's get it.
Is in office, that he is going to confront some of the very same challenges that Democrats had. And that is in terms of the cost of living. You don't want to do anything to make Americans' lives more expensive. That was part of the message that we received in this election.
Oftentimes there's one president at a time, but there's now seems to be two presidents at a time. Trump very much deeply engaging on policy, making threats about tariffs, talking to foreign leaders, talking about things that he would do as that he was coming in. This is much different than Trump in 2017, the transition that happened then, where there was a lot of infighting. They were still struggling to get people just to fill out the government. Now Trump very much trying to drive policy before he's even in office.
And look, that's part of Trump's pitch for a second term, which is that in the first term, as he has said, he didn't know enough people in Washington, didn't know the ways of Washington. And now, as he would note, he knows everyone in Washington, and he's much more comfortable into the role that he's inheriting once again. So he's eager to contrast himself with the outgoing administration and really install the policies that he promised and he feels are going to catapult the country like a rocket, he would say, economically during his administration. And he's not as interested in affording the longstanding tradition of staying out of the last administration during this overlap period.
Yeah, and on one of those things, this conversation with the Mexican president saying on Truth Social, of course, that she had agreed to effectively close our southern border. That's not what she said she agreed to. But just a reminder of where things are on the issue of border crossings, illegal border crossings. They're actually down significantly since the height of it back late last year in December, all the way down through now. A lot of it stemming from Biden's executive orders that came as a result of a lot of pressure. And
CNN, bro. CNN will get you every single time. Now they're saying Trump says Mexican president agreed to effectively close the border. She says, and then the Mexican president said, well, we're not going to close the border. Mexico cannot afford to go on a trade war with the United States because according to research, almost 80% of exports from Mexico goes to the United States. So the United States doesn't really need Mexico, but Mexico needs 100% the United States. So it's like everybody needs to calm down and let this guy do his job. The media should be supporting him. Everything the media, because in case you don't know, worldwide, they watch the United States media. So if media in the United States isn't doing what it's supposed to do, which is say good things about the president, they're just going to make it hard for this man. They did it in 2016. Now they want to do it in 2024. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. I speak with my mom back home, and she's like, Trump is a bad person. I'm like, no, wait, chill. Let me tell you. And I'm educating her. She's like, oh, for real? That's not what we hear here. That's not what they're telling us here. Because CNN is huge in those countries. So it's like, no, let me tell you what is going on. Let me tell you how much gas prices are now and what the gas prices were then. Let me tell you what the mortgage rate is now, and let me tell you what the mortgage rate was then. And she's like, for real? I'm like, yes. So the more these people say trash about this guy, the more foreigners are like going wild. But the world actually loves Donald Trump because the world are like they cannot wait for this guy to be there. They cannot wait. It is what it is. The media can't lie no more because people are waking up. People are waking up, bro.
Failure to act in Congress. But this is classic Trump, right? He's going to claim victory even if victory had happened before he did anything.
Not only that, but these are like the two, if you could look at the two signature issues for Donald Trump, he vacillates on a lot of policy issues, but the border and tariffs are not those issues. And tariffs, he's been consistent.
He's been saying it since 1990 or 2000 and the like.
Right, and during his first presidency, we saw that he would follow through on them, not only on other countries like China, but on allies in Europe with the steel and aluminum tariffs. So when he threatens these things, people have to take him seriously now, even if members of his own party want him to use them as leverage rather than follow through on them.
I mean, do you expect much pushback from Republicans on the tariffs? I mean, this is used to be a party of free traders.
Yeah.
This used to be the Bush policy that pushed for free trade policy. Obviously, it's much different now. But when you're talking to Republicans on the Hill, is there going to be pushback on this?
I mean, the party has changed, but it's a party in transition, especially in the Senate, where you and I spend a lot of our time. These folks were around, many of them, in Congress 20 years ago. They are still free traders, a lot of them. So there's a big divide there. And I think at this point, Trump's not president yet. It's kind of unclear whether he's going to follow through on these tariffs right away. So what Republicans are going to say is, well, he's just using this for a negotiating position. He's just using this.
Shout out to Muscle Mary. Muscle Mary says, we're closing the border, whether you're on our side or not. America is tired of the child situation, drug situation, making the cartel billionaires, and all that stuff. It is going on, guys. You better get ready. You better get ready, guys.
Ron Vitiello is former acting ICE director. He joins me now. Ron, one of the ironies of this, I mean, it's as thick as ice, is that Denver, it was targeted by Tren de Aragua, and the mayor of Denver is the one who wants to protect migrant criminals from ICE. So, I mean, it's you want to laugh at it, but it's deadly serious, no?
Yeah, it sounds like a fake headline, like from The Onion or Babylon Bee or something. Here's a mayor of a town whose citizens are being victimized by this vicious gang in terrible ways. And then right across the way in Aurora, same thing. And he gets up on television out loud on camera as the mayor of Denver saying that he's going to stand in the way of the men and women of ICE as they go to deport these vicious criminals, arrest them safely, deport them, put them on a path for removal. And he wants to compare it to the freedom fighters in Tiananmen Square. I suggest to him very specifically he should resign right away and get on a path to being an activist in Denver, because he is not serving the men and women of Colorado or Denver or the United States. The consequence of getting in the way of arrests of illegal alien gang members in the United States is countrywide. It's not focused on Denver. It's not focused on these big cities. We are all at risk from this gang, this very vicious gang. And my recommendation also to the Trump administration, this gang is very vulnerable to the events of removal. Yeah. If they're safely arrested and put on a path to deportation, we will decimate their numbers very quickly in the United States because they have no status here. And oh, by the way, do we need another transnational criminal organization in the United States? We've got plenty of MS-13. Exactly. We've got plenty of mafia and other gangs in the U.S. And so,
well, we've already got them here. Frankly, it's a lot of people would think it's too late. They have dug in so deeply in communities all over the United States. You mentioned, by the way, the Colorado apartment takeover. We showed some video of that. Some of those people that were involved in that were apparently arrested in a major New York City drug and gun bust. So it just shows you how well spread out this group is and how they work between cities now. That's how dug in they are.
Yeah, and this is very important. I want our viewers to remember that this gang has not had a recorded arrest at the border before 2023. This is a symptom of the feckless Biden-Harris policies at the border that encouraged everyone from the third world, including this vicious gang, to come during the presidency of Joe Biden, and because they knew they were going to be released into the United States. And every city and town in America, the 16 states that Mr. Tobin talked about, are all paying the price. But again, they're small in numbers in comparison to other organizations, and they're highly vulnerable to being deported because they have no status in the United States. They're all here strict
Could not
Strictly
have it soon
illegally.
enough. But the thing that kills me is they're actually being assisted by some of these cities. In New York, a couple of Tren de Aragua members who committed horrible crimes elsewhere were actually flown to those other places where they committed the crime for free. So they have not only a free pass where they're living, where in a lot of these sanctuary cities with right to shelter laws, they get free housing, free food, free health care, et cetera. And then they're flown to the city of their choice where they don't have to show any ID, by the way, when they get on the plane. I mean, it is just insane. I want to go to something else because Texas reportedly is looking to ramp up the migrant buses again, but with a very important switch. Instead of sending them to sanctuary cities, they're going to send them to ICE centers. I think this makes a lot of sense, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. This is the Homan-Trump effect of what's going to happen at our border. You know, Texas is in the fight and has been for the last 4 years. They've done more than any other entity except maybe the Border Patrol. And so instead of sending migrants to these sanctuary cities, some accord with ICE to the right places at the right time, detention centers that have room. This is a resource question. Are they going to have room for all of the arrests that Texas may make at the border? You know, they charge these people with trespassing. They do state time, and then they're released back into state custody to then be transferred to ICE for removal. I think is a great idea. And so you got to commend Governor Abbott and the men and women of the front line in Texas that have been helping my former colleagues in the Border Patrol throughout this 4 years. And I'm grateful for that.
Finally. By the way, you mentioned Tom Homan. I love his comment the other day. He said that the Denver mayor and I think alike. He's ready to go to jail, and I'm ready to send him to jail. I mean, you try to go one-on-one with Tom Homan, and you're going to lose. I mean, I'm sorry. It's that simple. You're going to lose. And now I think the American people have stood up and said, we're with Tom Homan and what he's trying to do. And by the way, Tom Homan is going to be on this show on Monday, so you don't want to miss that. Ron Vitiello, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your work.
No, it's good to be with you. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
We did indeed. Same to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the live show. Look, a family member is in the hospital.
Time every year, our elected leaders' blunders and gaffes create memorable viral moments. And here with his favorite political turkeys of 2024, it's an annual tradition, political humorist T.J. McCormick. T.J., great to have you back on the program for our tradition. Up first, he's a presidential predictor. They call him the Nostradamus, right? Alan Lichtman is his name. He was very confident that Harris would win the 2024 election. Watch.
I'm still predicting a Harris victory. I've been right about this since I predicted Ronald Reagan's re-election in April 1982, nearly 3 years ahead of time, when 60% of Americans said he was too old to run again and his approval ratings were historically low. Old white guys like me are on the decline, and I have not changed that prediction and don't intend to.
Yeah, clearly on the decline. As are his skills in predicting. And you know, it was really funny. Almost all of those hits, without exception, that he would do on around the media, every interviewer came away almost like feeling better about the situation. So, okay, so you're saying he doesn't have a chance. And he'd say, yes, he has no chance. He's going to lose. And they'd say, well, thank God. And clearly he's done. He must, I hope he does better on the horses, man. Awesome to see that guy lose.
Yeah, because he also then doubled down after the election, attacking people with such smugness.
Yeah.
Know your lane. You lost.
Yeah,
Take the L.
And he had a chance. He had a chance down the stretch to change because everything had changed, and he smugly doubled down and tripled down, and he lost.
One thing we lost.
Yes.
From the election is the power of the Hollywood endorsement. Hollywood elites backing Harris for president kind of failed. Watch.
I'm proud to say that I voted early, and I voted for Kamala Harris.
I cast my vote for someone who will be a president for all Americans.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
Turns out, TJ, nobody cares what the Hollywood elites have to say.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. You know, that is the Harris campaign in a nutshell right there. You know, hitch your wagon to a bunch of vapid celebrities and also just stay in the basement, stay as far away from serious interviews as possible. It's like, can we please talk to the vice president? No. Here's Lizzo on flute, you know, and that's it. That's it in a nutshell right there.
Nobody cares about what the Hollywood elites say anyway, because these people are elites. They have money, they have wealth, they have large amount of money. Okay, they're not here for the normal everyday person. They're not normal. It's like these guys don't even know how much the gas prices are. If you ask any of them, just say, what is the current mortgage rate? They're gonna be like, yeah, because you don't know. What was the mortgage rate when Trump was president? You do not know. What is the current price for 1 gallon of milk? You don't know. What is the current 1 dozen of egg cost? You don't know. You don't know, guys. Of course you don't, because you are on another level. You don't know. You're Hollywood elites. You got bread, bro. You got money. So like the normal regular people know these prices. The normal regular everyday Americans, they know these things. They do. So no Hollywood elite is gonna decide election anymore in this country. It's just not possible. Trump has proven it.
And that's part of the reason why she lost. It was not a serious campaign. Lizzo. And it also might be finally the death knell for Oprah on the political stage. God willing, this might have also put a nail in that.
Let's remember, Harris may have had Lady Gaga, but Trump had Lady Gaga's father. And in this case, father knows best.
Indeed.
I really wanted to work that in.
You're full of wisdom.
Donald Trump's court trials were top of mind for Democrats all year long. Watch.
Are you surprised by the verdict?
No, I was not. I've told you all along that the facts speak for themselves.
An incredible verdict on this day in May, late May. The former president of the United States convicted as charged.
We've been holding our breath as a country for a long time, waiting for the cavalry to arrive in the form of the rule of law. And it did arrive today, and it's a majestic day.
Only one problem, TJ. That verdict, along with all the other lawfare, likely helped Trump win the election.
And you know what? It might be the biggest political blunder, considering all that they had to bring together, all the forces of the federal government and the state level governments, the attorneys general around that all blew up in their face. The Americans smelled a rat right out of the gate, and it all blew up. It's probably what propelled him into that middle section of America, people who had felt that the government was beating down on them. And, you know, I tell you what, though, if there's a happy silver lining to this, it gave us Fani Willis.
Yes.
I have 2 daughters, and now they know the wisdom of Fani, that a man is not a plan.
That's one way of putting it.
That's one way of putting it. We heard that all day.
Finally, who amongst us, TJ, has not hit a dead bear in Central Park? Cue up RFK Jr.
A woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van. I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea. And I said, I had an old bike in my car that somebody asked me to get rid of. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike.
Not to be outdone, RFK Jr.'s animal obsession continues. The New York Times reporting, quote, he sawed the head off a whale and drove it home, according to his daughter. The Post reporting RFK Jr. said doctors found a dead worm in his head after it ate part of his brain. There's no question.
If you're going to be the wild card candidate, be wild, go nuts, you know, throw it all out there. I mean, and it's funny, if you take any one of those things on their own and that's it, they seem incredibly insane. But you put them all together and you have a pattern. And you know what I mean? You have a character. And that's what he turned out to be. And this is our next HHS guy.
He's like one of those guys that you want to hang out with because of his stories along like the lines of Matthew McConaughey,
yes.
RFK. These are fun guys. Yeah. You may just have to bury a bear in
that's
Central
all.
Park.
And the ladies love him.
TJ McCormick, we love you. Thank you so much for.
These guys are having too much fun up here. These guys are having too much fun, guys. It's just wild. It is absolutely wild. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the live show one more time. Double tap your screen. Look at these shoes. Look at these shoes, guys. Thank you. God bless you guys. With that being said, we're gonna do one more video. Smash the like button. Double tap your screen twice. Double tap your screen twice, like Popo. You would have given this video a like. And with that being said, guys, we're gonna go to the next video.
Now, Inauguration Day is just under 2 months away, and President-elect Trump is looking to make good on his campaign promises of putting America first and bringing the country together.
I will govern by a simple motto: promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again. And I'm asking every citizen all across our land to join me in this noble and righteous endeavor. That's what it is. It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite. And we're going to try. We're going to try. We have to try. Success is going to bring us together, and we are going to start by all putting America first. We have to put our country first for at least a period of time. We have to fix it. Because together we can truly make America great again for all Americans. So I want to just tell you what a great honor this is. I want to thank you. I will not let you down. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before.
Well, Trump is already vowing to get to work on day one. He's looking to crack down on illegal immigration, kickstart American energy, and reestablish our global standing. And a new poll shows that a majority of Americans support Trump's vision for our country. Pew Research found that 53% of Americans approve of President Trump's plans and policies ahead of his second term. And Kennedy, that's why he was voted into office overwhelmingly by a majority of Americans who believe in his plans and his policies.
So what was really interesting to me was that the Democrats never acknowledged that he had already been president and that people had vastly different personal economic landscapes during his first term. I mean, think about that, because so often when you're running against someone, they've never been president. They're totally untested in that role. But he had been. He knew what the job entailed. That's such an incredibly rare thing. You know, we've had a lot of first-term presidents, one-term presidents, rather. But, you know, you didn't see Jimmy Carter go back at it in 1984. And for good reason, because, you know, he had his vision. It kind of failed. The country wasn't in a better place. And no one had an appetite for that the next time around. But the country has been on the wrong track. Three-quarters of the country have said that repeatedly, and, you know, Democrats couldn't see that. So, yeah, give him a chance. Give him a chance to give Americans what they voted for. And, you know, maybe they're not going to be Republicans forever, but we can all be Americans right now.
That's right. And David, to Kennedy's point, so many interviews, exit and during the candidacy showed people of all racial makeups and religious backgrounds, geographical dwellings that said, my life was better under President Trump. Right. It was an incumbency that worked.
And again, picking up on Kennedy, we're all going to be picking up on Kennedy's point here because it's such a good one. He was in the belly of the beast. Yes. And not only was he in the belly of the beast in the first term, but then he had another term where he had to sit back and watch lawfare and all of the attacks on him, all of the stuff that came up that wasn't true, that Americans saw wasn't true, which is why a lot of Americans who didn't vote for him the first time did the second time. But what he wants to do, and I'm old enough to remember Ronald Reagan coming in 1980, he wanted to really shake up government. Government was the problem, not the solution. That was Reagan's great line. Trump knows that as well, personally now, very personally, because of what happened that first time. So bottom line is he's hired a cabinet of folks who are in the shaking up business. These are people who have reworked companies, who have tried, as some people that have been working with us at Fox to do, to really try to shake up the bureaucracies that they're now going to try to change. So in order to shake up the government and make it work, and you got Elon and Vivek on the top trying to figure out what can be cut and what can't, what is necessary and what is not, separating the wheat from the chaff, they're going to do that. I have a great hope that they will succeed.
Right. And in dismantling, especially, Cheryl, those odious regulations we've talked about. I have a family business, a small business That's in the agricultural and the alcohol sectors. Nothing is more regulated than those. And the stymieing is so real. The amount of money that we have to hemorrhage in tithing to the government. But hopefully moving forward under this administration, it will be the dismantling of these regulations and the fostering of entrepreneurial and capitalist spirit.
And one of the agencies that is full of so much red tape and unnecessary regulation is the EPA. And if they can get in there and they can actually change the culture and not dismantle the EPA, but at least cut down the power of the EPA, that's going to help small businesses. That's going to help the real estate sector. That is going to help builders. I mean, there's so many onerous, ridiculous regulations on the books of the EPA. The other would be the EV mandate, because they want to undo that. Look, people are buying electric vehicles. By the way, you're the one outnumbered today. We've got all the business people here with Emily, so I think that's kind of fun. But to say that, but yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you go down there and you look at all of the bureaucracy, in particular with those EV mandates, people aren't buying those cars. Get rid of it. We're those subsidies. The government's paying out those subsidies. It's such a waste of money. And this couch today on Thanksgiving is all about not wasting money. We're about saving money and about growing our economy and our country.
Waste
and I think
our
that's what's
money.
happening.
That's what I say. Don't waste my taxpayer dollars. And just to echo what Kennedy was saying, we're all Americans now. It's Thanksgiving. It's time to come together. How surprising is what happened? This poll that we just looked at. Hello, not at all. Trump won. Trump won big time. So what he's talking about is what he talked about on the campaign trail. And the only thing surprising about those numbers is that his polling on economics, on how he'll run the economy, is even higher than it was when he campaigned. So his polling is doing even better. So that's what's the interesting thing when you see progressives protesting what he wants. I don't understand it. You know you're going up against the American people.
Yeah, can I ask you, how soon do you think we're going to see results? How soon will Americans feel that relief that is sort of waiting in the wings?
I think it's already happening, because don't forget, CEOs come to work every day. They sit down at their big boy chair and they make decisions that affect how many Americans are employed, how much money their company is going to be spending. And they're making it on the basis of the policies that are coming in, that they know are coming in because they've seen Trump
But
before.
it's going to be a pitched battle. The bureaucrats are not going to let go easily. There are a lot of them that are going to be shown the door. They're not going to let go easily. They know what's coming.
Bureaucrats won't rule tax policy, right? That's something that Congress.
But I'm thinking
of
the Pentagon, HHS.
Don't forget the Supreme Court ruling about Chevron deference as well.
Yes.
Yeah, they have the law behind them, no doubt.
They did for a long time.
Trump is changing the game, and he has actually changed the game for every politician moving forward. So if you're going to run for presidency or you're going to run for any office, like, just be ready to be authentic, be ready to talk to the American people, every American people. Don't be thinking you're going to talk to some elites or some people. No, you're going to talk to everybody. And one thing is for sure, the economy is bouncing back. Look at Bitcoin. Look at what the cryptocurrency market is doing right now. It's going bonkers. Look at what Mexico, Canada, China are saying on tariffs. They're already talking about it. He's not even the president yet. He's already talking about it. They're already talking about it. So you better be ready. You better be ready for a better economy. Be ready, because this guy is slamming tariffs on everybody. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Everybody's getting ready because it is what it is. All right. Republicans now have the House. Republicans have the House. So it's even going to be easier for him to do more when it comes to the country. Policies are going to be passed easier, but this guy is going to focus more on executive actions because he has Vivek Ramaswamy, who is very knowledgeable when it comes to executive decisions. He knows this thing. Executive decisions, guys. Congress may have less work to do. Way easy.
Like this. And listen, I think viewers at home will acknowledge this too. It seems like whenever they're down to the last and they're counting these ballots late, it's like Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. You broke the trend, as I She's done it again. Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks winning re-election in the great state of Iowa by fewer than 1,000 votes. after winning by just 6 votes back in 2020. Her victory giving the GOP 220 seats in the House and helping her party in the process had a very, and I mean very, thin majority. And Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks joins us now. It is so great to have you with us.
Oh, Kevin, it's great to be.
Guys, no. This is unacceptable, guys. This is unacceptable. We're not going to accept this right here. We're not going to accept this right here. Darren says he will take credit for Build Back America that's already happening. No, we're not going to do this, guys. Come on. When he was president from 2016 to 2020, you said it was Obama's economy. Now we are in shambles. Everything is high. Right when the president-elect, the moment he was announced the president-elect, cryptocurrency shot to the roof. And now you want to give Joe Biden the credit? You guys are just on another level. You're going to give Joe Biden the credit for the border that's going to be secured in the next 1 year. You're going to give Joe Biden the credit for the Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestinian people when the war stops. Is that what you're going to do? You're really going to give Joe Biden the credit for that? You never give Trump any credit anyway. It's okay. Okay, it's all right. It is what it is. Look, he said it. He doesn't want the credit. He just wants to make America great again. But why are you guys like this? Why are you guys like this, man?
Here with you all in the studio.
And happy Thanksgiving and obviously Merry Christmas to come. Let me ask you about the race itself. When it gets tight like this, and listen, I think viewers at home will acknowledge this too. It seems like whenever they're down to the last and they're counting these ballots late, it's like Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. You broke the trend, as I show the folks at home, just how close the race was. What happened?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to credit Iowa and the Iowa legislature, and I was part of that as a state senator for passing good election integrity laws. So, and then having gone through this process of a recount in 2020, we knew what things to look for. And so working with the Secretary of State to make sure that they gave clear guidance to the recount boards on what was expected and what was anticipated. And then historically, Iowa has never overturned a triple-digit margin. So we felt pretty secure that in 2020, we survived a recount with 47 votes down to 6. We were pretty sure that with 801 votes, we were going to survive this recount. But, you know, places like California, where they're still counting ballots weeks after the election, that's outrageous. And so our laws specifically say when ballots have to be in and they have to be at the auditor's office on the day of the election.
By the way,
so that helps.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble and go down a rabbit hole. But when I saw that Iowa poll that J.N. Selzer put out, I think a lot of us said, oh, please, you got to be kidding.
That's another thing right there. Why would you still be counting ballots since November 5? Election day was November 5, guys. This is November 29th. November 29th, people. And these people are still counting ballots. Oh, my God. You can never make this up.
Kidding me. And as it turns out, it was off by 17. I think Iowa's pretty consistent. Let me ask you about DOGE. I guess House and Senate Republicans are going to get a chance to meet with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to talk about the DOGE. Explain what DOGE is and what your expectations are of the upcoming meeting.
Well, first of all, we're all very excited. One, to have the majority both in the House, the Senate, and President Trump back in the White House. And I think all of the nation feels hopeful. You can just feel the difference in the atmosphere and people's attitudes. So we're very grateful for that, to have the trifecta. And one of the things that has been a constant challenge for Congress is to work on the administrative branch. So to work on those government agencies. And so in Office of Government Efficiency, we want government to be efficient, but also effective. So I think having people that bring a business mindset, having been a small business owner, bringing that business mindset into Congress, looking at agencies, I think can be a very effective strategy. So having Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, both individuals who have started companies, grown companies. And I remember when Elon Musk took over Twitter, and so there were some people let go, and it was going to be cataclysmic, and Twitter wasn't going to be able to survive. Well, now we have X, and it's doing extremely well, and there's an opportunity for people to have free speech once again. So we're looking forward to working with both Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy on making government both efficient and effective.
And make America greater again. Marionette Miller Meeks, so great to see you, Congresswoman. Congratulations, and we will see you again real soon.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox.
Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in to the live show. You guys are the best. You guys are the best. We've seen this.
Doge co-chairs Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy heading to
We've seen this.
Capitol Hill next week.
Have
to
we
talk
seen
to
this?
lawmakers. They are eyeing.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the live show. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. So yes, my family member is gonna be home today, and they're gonna actually transfer her home where she's gonna get her care at home. So for that, that would be my live show today. Have we seen this? Okay, let me see. Let me see. Let's see. Let's just guys stay optimistic and see how bright the future is. Because at the end of the day, we gotta stay optimistic, regardless of what you're experiencing right now. All right, let's look it up with. Okay, guys, we are gonna end it with the president of Russia and President Trump, and just how Putin sees Trump. And this is a reaction from CNN. Of course, CNN is gonna not support Trump regardless.
It's getting colder in Ukraine as winter sets in, and more than 1 million homes are without power after Russia unleashed a barrage of missiles and drones aimed at critical energy facilities. The onslaught forced people in the capital of Kyiv to shelter in metro stations and destroyed houses near the city of Odessa in the south. At least 5 people there were injured. Russian President Vladimir Putin says this assault was because Ukraine used American-made missiles to strike inside Russian territory, something President Biden gave Kyiv the green light to do earlier this month. Today, Putin criticized Biden for creating what he said are difficulties for President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration, and he praised Donald Trump as intelligent and experienced, someone who will find solutions. Joining us now is retired Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton. Colonel Leighton, thank you so much for sharing part of your Thanksgiving with us. I first want to get your response to this accusation from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that in these attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure right before winter, they used cluster munitions. How well is Kyiv equipped to deal with something like that?
Yeah, that's a really difficult thing, Boris, and happy Thanksgiving to you. There are certain munitions that are actually outlawed under international law.
Shout out to Tammy. Tammy says Biden didn't do anything that was good for our country. He ruined our country and our economy. And thank God Trump was elected. It's just unfortunate that he has to clean up his screw ups. You're absolutely right, Tammy. You're absolutely right, Tammy. Backups, you need to go back, okay? You need to back up, bro. Backups, you need to back up, bro. Backups, you need to back up, my dog. Shout out to Griselda one more time. Shout out to Griselda. And of course, X50 Cal Janks. God bless you. X50 Cal Janks is a gamer. You need to go check out his YouTube page. If you are into gaming, go check out X50 Cal Janks. You know what time it is.
Cluster munitions generally are outlawed. There are some exceptions to that, but that is something that, if true, does create some significant problems for the Ukrainians. What they would have to do is prevent the delivery vehicle from actually hitting its target, and even then, the risk of cluster munitions impacting on civilians is pretty high. So it's a very dangerous escalation if that in fact turns out to be the case.
And Colonel, you and I were on the air last night speaking about this. The incoming Trump administration is going to seek to broker a ceasefire early into his second term. Is there much that President Biden can do right now on the way out to strengthen?
Thank you for tuning in to the live show, guys. Okay, based on Russia and Ukraine and all that stuff, I hope to get this whole thing situated. And of course, I hope that Trump, works out a deal that is going to work for both parties, because at the end of the day, we want peace. Okay. With that being said, instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams, and believe in God Almighty. It is your boy Genesis. I am rooting for you. I am praying for you. No matter what you're going through, life is hard. Of course, life is hard, but